welcome to Metamorphosis Mentors, where we explore the defining moments, the difficult seasons, and meaningful relationships that help us grow into who we were created to become. I'm your host, Liz Michael. My guest today is someone whose story brings together leadership, family, courage, service, and legacy. A dear friend, Tracy Hudson, is the owner and CEO of Century 21 Sheets, one of Central Indiana's most recognized real estate companies. She began working with the organization at a young age and grew through the company into the leader she is today. I'm not saying you're old, I'm just saying you do. But Tracy's story reaches far beyond her title. She and her husband, GR, created a family partnership that did not necessarily follow the traditional script. While Tracy built her career, GR, for most of his time, served as a stay-at-home father and supported their son's demanding hockey journeys. So it is great. Tracy has made the extraordinary decision to donate a kidney to her colleague and friend, Sally. And today she's entered another meaningful season as grandmother to Hudson and grandson, and almost another grandson on the way.
That's right.
And it's ready to pop.
We're excited about that.
Yes, of course. You built a company, helped build a family, supported your children's dreams, and quite literally gave part of yourself so someone else could live more fully. Welcome to Metamorphosis Mentors. I'm truly honored to have you here. And
well, thank you, Liz. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, my pleasure. So, okay, Tracy. So, who is Tracy Hudson when you're not being introduced as the owner and CEO of Century 21 Sheets?
Just a normal Midwestern gal with a family and lots of friends and a lot of blessings in my life.
I think that you're one of the most authentic people I know, actually. And what you see is what you get.
Well, no big secrets.
Awesome. What brings you the most joy outside of work?
Of course, my family and spending time with friends. I've been blessed to love my work, and also on the other side have a wonderful group of friends and connected family. I still have my 88-year-old mother that is still in my life, and my mother-in-law. So I'm surrounded by great women.
I love that. Which role feels more central to you today? Leader, wife, mother, grandmother, friend, or something else?
But when you say more central, what do you mean by more central, Liz?
That's a really good question. So, what is the one that is your deepest passion and where your heart's connected the most right now?
Well, I think, whenever you enter into the chapter of your life where you become a grandparent, it is just a whole new, I don't even know how, you can't even explain it, right? It's just it's a beautiful chapter, and it's an opportunity for you to show up differently in a little one's eyes. And you get to look back at everything you did as a parent and say, you know what can I do differently? What can I take from the past and bring to the future? And how do you support your children and their path through parenthood? So it's a really fun, very special time.
Yes. Oh, I love that for you, and so excited for you. And you can tell when I see your post with your grandson that Matthew, right?
No, Matt's my youngest son.
Yeah.
It's Hudson. Hudson. Now that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it though. I think it's very special. Yeah. So Hudson's 2, and so let's switch gears a little bit here. How old were you when you started at Century 21 Sheets, and how did that all begin?
Well, I grew up in the real estate industry, so
explain that.
Well, I came from a very traditional family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I grew up in Indianapolis, North Side Indianapolis, in Carmel, and Had a beautiful life, but there's one thing that I always wanted is independence. And so I can remember when my parents, I would ask them if I could have something or do something. The answer wasn't always yes. So I was always trying to figure out a way. And so early on, I was like, how can I have a job at a young age? And I happened to have an opportunity to answer phones. This is really before my 15th birthday for a small real estate company. And through that, I learned a lot about the industry. And I worked there through high school and college summer breaks. And that led me into the title insurance business after college. And then 3 years into that, I got a call from an owner of another company and said, hey, you want to come start our corporate relocation division? And I was young. I was probably 26 years old. I had a 1-year-old at the time, and I was ready for a different challenge. So that's kind of how that all segued into what I do today.
Yes, I love that. So your earliest responsibilities were answering phone and seeing to people's needs in the title company
Yep.
as well, right?
Yep. Service.
Were you, go ahead.
Service. I mean,
Service,
I've been rooted in service.
Yes. I would say that you were naturally ambitious. Would that be true?
As I look back, I think it came out later. Like when I was growing up, you tend to, I mean, for me, I was like looking at my mother and I thought I would always be a stay-at-home mom.
Sure.
I really didn't know that I had this inner desire to be ambitious. But I think as you go through different stages of your life, and I can remember vividly things that I probably didn't realize at the time they were said, but they came back to me later. And both my mom and my mother-in-law were stay-at-home moms. And I can remember my mom saying to me, they wanted to get me a new car when I went off to college. I went and spent a couple of years down at University of Mississippi, and they wanted me to have a more reliable car. And my dad was out of town. And my mom and I went up to a car dealership of someone that my father knew. And on the way back, my mom said, you know what, Tracy, I couldn't even buy the car if I wanted to, because I don't really have any credit in my name. So we need to wait for your dad to get back. And I probably didn't think a whole lot about that then. But fast forward to probably 10 years later. So at the time I was 25 or 26, yes. I got to thinking, I want to be independent.
Yes. Wow. That is something that a lot of people may not even know or remember, that it's not been that long ago that women didn't have their own credit.
Right.
Yeah. What about real estate really fascinated you and drew you in?
Well, it's what I knew since I grew up, from the age of 14 to probably 25 working around the industry before I joined McSheets at Century 21. I love the people side of it. I love the uncertainty of it. And I love the service side of it too. And then when I started with Mick, I would say he was probably the one that lit my entrepreneurial spirit the most. And got me dreaming and thinking bigger by really giving me autonomy and saying, hey, go figure this out. And that was a blessing. It was a true blessing. And then he always was giving me a seat at the table at a really young age. I thought like a fraud for a while, like, what is he like? What is he doing? But I think there's nothing more powerful than someone that has been successful believing in you more than maybe you even believe it yourself as a young woman.
Mm-hmm. And seeing you and recognizing you.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah. So when did you first see yourself as a leader?
I always liked to lead. I can remember being, this is funny to think about, but back, when I was in junior high and high school, I was a cheerleader. And I can remember I loved it, loved cheering on the team, loved my cheer squad. But I can remember I always wanted to be the one that called the cheers, because I hated when, someone else called the cheers and we were on offense and they'd be calling defense. Or if we were on defense, they'd be cheering touchdown. I'd be like, no, we have to get it right. Yeah. So part of that probably came from, just some internal DNA that said, figure out how to lead and lead in the right way.
So would you say that Mick recognized your leadership before you did in yourself? Or would you say that you recognized it before he called it out?
I don't know if it happens simultaneously or, but I probably found my voice and courage more working alongside him than anything.
That makes sense. Mainly because he believed in you, right?
Yeah. And afforded me the opportunity to make mistakes and not feel,
Yeah, because we fail forward, right?
Yeah. And I think also you have to work along someone that has tremendous work ethic, and watching him at a young age and seeing the work ethic, and also that the more you grow and the bigger responsibilities that you have doesn't mean that you let go of, the little things as well. Like watching him help people set up for an event or picking up trash in the parking lot. You just don't walk over it. You can do the hard work too.
Yes. I love that. And you both are so authentic to that just that authenticity of recognizing that things need to be done and then doing them. And not
if you get to a stage there, you say, that's not my job or that's beneath me. I feel like you lose connection with your team.
Totally agree. Yes. Yeah. So was becoming a CEO something that you intentionally pursued, or did you just grow into the responsibility and the opportunity opened up at the time?
No, and my DNA is I have a sense of responsibility. And I think that's probably what led me to where I am today.
What did you have to learn that could not be taught in a class?
I think the majority of things that I've learned can't be taught in a class.
Okay.
I think you can learn the mechanics of real estate. You can learn the transactional side. I think the best lessons in leadership and leading others was in the moment and being open to saying, I don't have all the answers, and collectively that all of us are smarter than any single one of us. Yes. And also the people that you surround yourself with does make a difference. So, and you learn through that. You learn through, maybe there are always people that there's misalignment with, and that's okay. It doesn't make either right or wrong. You just get to a point where you recognize that, I may not be the right fit for everyone as a leader, as a business partner, or as an employer, and vice versa. But that doesn't make any one person right or wrong.
That's correct. You're still who you are.
Yeah.
And that's you shouldn't become someone else because someone else has different expectations of who you should be. Yes.
Right.
I think that's great. Good job. So leadership is leaving people better than when you first met them. When you hear that, what does that mean to you?
Well, I used to think it used to be a heavy burden to carry. That statement is leaving people better than when you came together, but also there's a sense of responsibility on the other person.
Yes.
And so I even think about it wasn't Mick's responsibility to help me grow, even though he took that challenge on, which was probably, if you ask him, probably a big challenge. It was my responsibility to show up as a student and eager to learn, and eager to be curious. So the student also has a big part of it. And I also know that as a leader, it's not me that makes someone successful. I can open up and help and serve, but it's also the student's responsibility to take and carry and execute on the wisdom that others in their lives bring.
Yes. I think you've hit that balance really well in your leadership style, because you challenge people and teach them and help them to learn different things. But as you said, the growth really has to come from them. It has to come from within. You can't make someone grow.
Yeah, and you can't take someone else's success as your own.
Right, exactly.
They did the work.
And that's right. How do you balance accountability with encouragement?
You know what? I think as a parent, it helps tremendously. I think you give feedback to your children, and sometimes we can give pretty harsh, direct feedback, but we do it out of a place of love, right? And I think when you work alongside people, and it doesn't matter whether they report to you or they're a colleague or a partner, if you really care about someone, you have to have a trusting relationship where you can give feedback. And you have to understand how people receive feedback.
Yes.
And what's the best way to deliver it. I mean, and you also have to set the expectation up front with people. You know what? If I give you feedback and sometimes it's harsh, it's because I deeply care.
Yes.
And I hope my feedback's always right on. But sometimes you can give feedback and you only are seeing a glimpse. Someone said to me, it was a business owner that I was talking to on the phone. And this business owner in a totally different industry, he said, I have to be careful when I pull up to one of my stores and I see something that's not right. It's probably he equated it to a movie, and I hope I'm getting this right. He said, it's kind of like if you're seeing a trailer of a movie, but you're not seeing the entire picture. And he said, so I have to remind myself that just in a moment of time, I'm seeing the trailer and I got to make sure that I look at the whole picture when I'm giving feedback. It doesn't mean that feedback's not necessary, but if you're only giving feedback when things aren't going right and you're ignoring all the other stuff, you're missing the opportunity.
Yes. That's really, really important. I love that insight. So what have you learned about seeing potential in people before they can see it in themselves?
I think, I'm going to flip it. I think sometimes other people have seen it in themselves before I've seen it.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I can give some examples of people that I've worked alongside. And I can remember early on in my career, someone said to me, I was doing a little bit of, just career development coaching, like a quarterly check-in. And I said, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And this individual said, I really see myself in your seat. I mean, I want to do what I want you. And I went, and at that time, this individual was very young and very shy. And I thought, well, I mean, I don't know if you can get up in front of everybody and speak and do what you need to do. And so, but then I watched how hard this person worked. And so I always said, never let my doubt of somebody in a moment or in a moment of a couple years impact my belief in them. If someone wants it bad enough, they will do what they need to do to accomplish their goals.
I love it. That's really insightful. So who's left you better when they first met you than when they first met you?
I mean, I've been so lucky. I just unfortunately went to a funeral of one of my first mentors after college in the title insurance industry. And her name was Beth. And she was amazing. And I worked alongside her for 3 years. And she had such a competitive, positive spirit. She had such an unbelievable service heart. She loved people deeply. And I thought, I reflected back on those first 3 years and they were monumental. Awesome. She was an unbelievable mom. I mean, adored her husband. And so she left me better right out of the gate.
I saw that.
So I've really been doing a lot of reflection just over her impact. And she had fun. I mean, she always lightened the room.
Oh, that's great.
And that's important. It's like, how do people feel when you come into a space?
Yes.
Or into a room?
Great question.
Do you elevate and lighten it and make people feel better, or are you the dark cloud that comes in? And so she was always a shining star.
I love that.
And my husband, we started dating in high school, and he's had a tremendous impact. And you know what? When we started dating in high school, you don't know what the future holds. I thought I'd be the stay-at-home mom and he would, be the career guy. But if he wasn't willing to, sacrifice and, run an unbelievable household and have an unbelievable relationship with our boys and take on the work that you have to do. And there's a lot of work when you're the primary, keeping everything going on the home front. When I was working 50, 60, sometimes plus hours a week, he made my career journey easier.
That's awesome. He made you so you didn't have to worry and think about what was and wasn't happening at home. You knew it was well taken care of.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people aren't that fortunate. There's a lot of dual career families.
Yes.
And so when you come home, you're stressed about, I got to go to the grocery, I got to get the laundry done, I got to do.
Right.
So, I mean, I think because he took on such a tremendous role at home with the boys that then I was able to be even more present.
Yes.
Like whether it's weekends, travel hockey, or I could do those things and not feel like I had to come home to a tsunami of other stuff that I had to do.
Love that. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about culture, which we kind of have been touching on. But people often use the word culture, but it can become a business slogan rather than a lived experience, right? We all know that. So, what does a healthy company culture actually feel like to the people inside of it?
Well, it depends on who's inside of it, right? The culture is not created by any one person. It is created by the collective and being, everyone moving in the same direction.
It can't be destroyed by one person, though.
Well, only if it's tolerated.
That's right. Exactly. Yes.
And I also think that people, when it comes to culture, you can have a not so great culture as well. So culture can be good, bad, indifferent, or non-existent. Sure. So I think it runs the gamut, but culture takes on the people that come together. And it's not just in a work environment. Every family has a culture too.
That's exactly right. And no culture, whether at business or family, no culture stays the same. It ebbs and flows. It just is all over the place. But what are some non-negotiables of behaviors for Century 21 She's that help to create such a positive culture that you have?
I think mutual respect is number one. And if ever anyone thinks that they're more important than anyone else, and that's running a sales organization, and in any business, there can always be friction. I don't care if it's manufacturing, sales, whatever, between operations and sales. And what I've learned over the years and seen, and this goes, I learned this early on. And it probably, my dad would always say, don't ever underestimate the person that answers your phone or the first person you see that walks through the door. They are critical to your organization. They set the stage. So I think that, and salespeople are wired a certain way. And sometimes and I consider myself a salesperson at heart, can be frustrating to an upside of any business.
Sure.
We tend to be demanding and we need to get stuff done. But thank goodness, because that's how we help accomplish the goals. So I think you've got to have mutual respect.
Yeah, I think that's very good. So what do you think makes people feel that they genuinely belong?
I think if they feel seen and heard and encouraged, and they feel like they're constantly being poured into and elevated.
Okay, so here's a tough question. What leadership lesson did you have to learn the hard way?
Oh, Liz, we could unpack that in so many ways. I think the toughest one is you got to lead yourself well first.
Very good. Yeah.
And I can remember I was given John Maxwell's Leadership Bible.
Yes.
And it's been wonderful for me as a leader.
Yes.
So I think whenever you feel like as a leader that you're only trusting your own mind,
right,
you sometimes have to remember you've been put in a seat for a reason.
Yes.
And you better be using those gifts in the right way.
So do you constantly examine yourself as to, okay, maybe I should have said that differently, or I need to make sure I pay attention to that person? Are you just always on alert, so to speak? I see you as a pointer dog, Yeah.
No one ever wants to feel like they're not important or unnoticed. And I think that's one of the things is as our organization has continued to grow is I used to have this dream and I can remember it vividly. And I'd be like, I always had this feeling I was dropping a baby and someone would hand me a baby and it would roll out of my arms.
Yes.
And
wow.
I was telling a group of our managers at a managers meeting one day, and I said, I don't know why I'm having this reoccurring dream. And one of my managers said, I know why you're having it, because you've loved to love the people, and there's more and more people, and you're worried about one's going to fall,
Yes.
And I'm
Yes,
like,
yeah.
that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. And so that's the hard part with scaling a business is when you're a people first leader, you worry about that.
Right.
And there's only so much time in the day.
That's right. That's right. And you have to be a good steward of that time as well, and make sure you're spending it where you're called to do it. It may not always equal to where you think you need to be, but where you're being called to. And those are not always the same thing.
Yeah, and also one of the things that I think is capacity. I used to think that saying you're at capacity meant that you're not effective. And meaning you can't do it all. Well, you can't do it all. No one can do it all. So I think the power of delegation was one of my biggest lessons that I continue to learn as a leader. Most people want to be delegated to, because it says, you trust me to carry the ball versus having to carry it all yourself. And so I think as I've grown and helping other leaders grow, there's nothing that you can do more as a leader than saying to a coworker or colleague or someone that reports to you that says, I'm at capacity and I trust and need you to help accomplish something. And then you're helping elevate and teach them. They may not, actually, you think they may not know how to do it as good as you do, but in essence, they end up doing it better than you do.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And sometimes I think it's because it's a little chunk that they can take and just expand, where your time and energy is more limited. And so you can only give this much time to it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's big projects that'll never get done because I don't have the capacity to do it. And so I've got to entrust someone else that I know will do it better in the end. And that's been a continual learning process for me as a leader.
Yes. You have been gifted with very good people. And one thing that I've noticed also is that there's a stability in the Sheets company. They have a lot of people who've been there a long time, and that doesn't happen by chance these days. It's very hard for that to be a thing. And I think it's been very important and helped to keep stability in the company as well along the way. And then you also know who to trust.
Yeah. Well, I think that plays true in our personal lives as well. Right. And I don't know if it was my mom or dad that told me the best thing that we can give our children is stability and boundaries.
Absolutely. Yes.
And knowing what you're going to get when you walk through the door. And so I think I've tried to bring that into our organization as well.
Great.
Stability is an important thing. And so with every decision, you have to say, how disruptive is this to everyone that works alongside us? And you're going to have disruption in business, and you're going to have growing pains, and you're going to, but you can't lose sight of the impacts that it has and how you sometimes have to stabilize turbulent times.
That's true.
And if you're unstable, it's not good.
That's absolutely true.